New apple cinnamon Cheerios. New apple cinnamon Cheerios is real apples, whole grain oats, and cinnamon. And it tastes as great as it sounds. Listen to the sound of a whole new world.
WKGF presents The Witching Hour with Max Thorn.
Good evening, my little children of the night. Max Thorn here, and welcome to the Witching Hour. It is Friday night, September 29th, which means before this weekend is over, it will be October. And we all know how much you guys love October. Crazy how fast the year is flying by. All right, with me as always in the booth to my left, my producer, Ricky. And after taking a brief hiatus, apparently, also joining us tonight, four sad and lonely people just outside the window. I guess they forgot about the show last week, but they are back in full force to get the word out about the evils of our show to the 5 or 6 cars that pass by the studio at this hour of night. You are all doing a bang-up job. We salute you. 4 people on the street. So, before we start tonight's show, I have a couple of updates for you. First, if you remember, 2 weeks ago, a caller named Richie from Fishers, Indiana, told us about his missing friends from several years ago after receiving strange phone calls. Well, I did some digging, and yes, his friends really were, and still are, missing. So, that means after Halloween, during my week off, I am flying to Indiana to meet with Richie and continue the search for his friends, and I will report back with anything I find. Also, from a few weeks ago, you may recall, and I hope you do, we did a couple segments on FB's Toys, the toy store located at the center of the Riverside Mall that's been a fixture of the community since it was built in 1980. But in recent years, rumors surrounding the store have led to a sharp decline in business. Customers reported strange occurrences and unexplained noises, toys moving on their own, and many say the store has always had an ominous presence, like a showbiz pizza party on acid. We covered all of this on the show, but a little over a year ago, the store became infamous after reports surfaced of a ghostly child named Lily trapped within the very shelves of the store. Some locals claimed the dolls in the toy aisle were guarding the spirit of Lily, keeping her from escaping. But tonight, after 9 years in business, we learned that the store owners have sold off its stock and the space will soon be vacated, leaving the once popular FB's Toy Store as nothing more than a sad husk of capitalism gone wrong. It's unclear what store will move into the empty space, probably another useless jewelry store, but the haunting rumors still linger in the air. As the toys are packed away, many are left wondering whether they are taking the spirit of Lily with them or if they are giving her a free pass to escape. We're told the store's final day of business was actually yesterday, the 28th. So, I guess we just wait and see how everything plays out. Let me know if you have any details on what's going on over in Riverside. I'll be keeping a close eye on it as well. I'm bummed that I didn't get to go myself. I wasn't expecting the closure. But if you know anything about this, give me a call, 805-272-0089. All right. Any other news worth talking about? Let's see. All right. Looks like the Cold War is coming to a close and the Berlin Wall might finally come down. That's something. Let's see. What else? Oh, new music this week from both Rat and Cinderella. That's exciting to me. I don't know about you. I'll be covering that on my rock show, so don't worry. I'm not going to talk about it. Let's see. Oh, earlier today, actress Zsa Zsa Gabor was pulled over driving her dumb Rolls Royce, then fled from the officer pulling her over, and when they finally stopped her, she got out of the car and slapped the officer that pulled her over. And I'm sure, since America seems to really love rich people with minimal talent, she'll go scot-free. Still funny, though. We will be keeping a close eye on that story because something tells me that's going to turn into something fun. So, not spooky related, I know, but still funny. All right. What else? Ricky, any news? Ricky is shaking his head, which means on with the show. All right, guys. So about 2 weeks ago, I got a voicemail from Blake from Sioux Falls, South Dakota, about an incident from 1987 that, shockingly, I had never heard about. I think a lot of people hadn't heard about it, which is weird, but I'm going to play the message for you right now. Here we go. This is Blake, Sioux Falls, South Dakota.
Hey, Max. Hope this works. Sorry my house is so loud right now. I don't know if you can hear that or not. I'm a new listener from Sioux Falls, and I was wondering if you'd heard anything about a strip mall massacre that happened here a few years back in '87. It was the damnedest thing I'd ever heard. I don't know all the details, but 2.5 years ago, a bunch of people went crazy at a strip mall, like one of those outdoor shopping malls. Like, they turned rabid. The government said they were contaminated. There was like contaminated water nearby, and that's what caused it. But it's just not tracking for me. It only happened in one little shopping center, and there were no after effects. Like, nothing. If it was really the water, like they said, why did it just stop all of a sudden? Nah, it just doesn't track. I've heard rumors about some cursed object, a tape like this VHS cassette, like, you know, for your VCR, but it's from this guy who kind of snapped and, you know, kind of went crazy and did something pretty awful. There's this guy named Dave Littlefield. Apparently he was there, and he strongly believes it was a curse, and he really went the extra mile to prove it. I've tried to locate him recently, but can't. I was hoping maybe you could look into it. I would love to know more about this because what the authorities told us stinks to high hell. So if you could track him down, I think his story is at least worth looking into. Dave Littlefield, last seen in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. Thanks a lot, Max. Love the show.
The fact that I hadn't heard about a massacre of this scale kind of blew my awesome hair back a bit. So I had to grab my curiosity shovel and do some digging. I located Dave Littlefield, now living alone in Rapid City after spending 2 years in an assisted living mental facility, and what he has to say is very interesting. So we'll play it for you now. Hey, thanks for taking my call. I appreciate it. I've heard that you have quite the story.
You probably won't believe me. Nobody ever does.
I am in the believing business, so please continue.
They said it was the water. They called it some freak chemical reaction. A perfect storm of bad luck. But I was there, Max. I saw it happen. And it wasn't the water, it was me.
You?
Yeah, me. Or more like what was stuck to me.
It started with the tape. A dusty old VHS tape I found in the attic, wedged behind a box of Christmas stuff I forgot I even had. It was unmarked, just a blank black label. No title, no clue of what was on it. At first I thought it was maybe just a home movie or something from when I was little. So I popped it in. It was nothing but static, just white noise swirling on the screen like some sort of twisted snowstorm. I fast-forwarded, hoping to skip that nonsense and find something, but every time I pressed play, it was the same. Static. Nothing else. Just that maddening buzz. I thought maybe the tape was broken, or maybe just blank. But then something caught my eye. The static shifted. For a second, I swear I saw shapes, not just random noise, but figures. They weren't clear at first, just flickers in the static. But then I swear they started to form. It was so fast, like they were trying to hide from me, but I could see them, two shapes. At first, they were just shadows, like pin impressions. Slowly, I could see their features, faces, hands, limbs. They were people, or at least they looked similar to people. Something about them was a little off. Their heads unnaturally tilted, their arms just a little too long for their bodies, but close enough to fool someone not paying attention. One thing was certain, they weren't supposed to be here. It didn't make any sense. Then, just as quickly as they arrived, they were gone. Just like that. I turned off the TV, and that's when I saw them. They were in the reflection of the glass, two figures standing right behind me. I could see them in the reflection on the screen, but when I turned around, nothing. I turned back to the TV, and there they were again, in the reflection. But now they were closer, like they jumped towards me in the time it took me to turn my head. And I could hear them, just faint whispers, like they were talking to me. I pressed play on the VHS, and the static came back. I could no longer see them or hear them. I rewound the tape a few seconds to where the figures appeared, but this time, nothing. Just static. Plain old static. I didn't understand. They weren't real. They couldn't be. And every time I looked away, they went quiet. But then I'd catch the reflection in something else, and the whispers grew louder, more urgent, but in a language I couldn't understand. I couldn't escape them. I couldn't escape. I destroyed the tape and covered every reflective surface I could find with towels and blankets. I even went as far as covering the windows with newspaper, but they still came. I saw them in the reflection of a spoon, in the glass of a picture frame, in my coffee, in a puddle on my patio. Always there, watching me. I forced myself to go to bed, to sit in my bedroom in the dark with my eyes closed until I fell asleep. The next morning, I tried to convince myself it was a dream. It had to have been. I walked to my kitchen, eyes closed, and stood in front of my microwave. I opened my eyes and looked into its glass door, and there they were, still right behind me. What do you want? No answer, just silence. I turned and walked away. I only saw them in reflections, blurry and distorted, like looking through frosted glass. I closed my eyes and walked to the bathroom, stood in front of the mirror, and opened my eyes. Nothing. They weren't there. Just me. Just my normal reflection looking back at me. At least that's what it looked like at first. The reflection seemed to be a fraction of a second behind my movements. I raised my hand, and then it raised its hand. I smiled, and then it smiled. I punched the mirror as hard as I could and ran outside, my hand bloodied, and headed for the shopping center just outside my neighborhood. I needed to be around people. I couldn't be alone in that house anymore. I looked around at the stores, their windows, and everything seemed to be normal. I stared at two women talking to each other just outside of Radio Shack. In the windows behind them, nothing. Just their reflections. But something wasn't right. Their reflections stopped moving and started staring at me. The women were oblivious, still gabbing on while their reflections stopped. They smiled at me and then caught back up to their owner's movements. I don't know how, but I fear I just cursed them. Their reflections are no longer their own. I ran away towards the Miller's outpost where two boys were running out, having obviously just shoplifted something. Nothing to reflect the men, thankfully. A man walked in front of me, his shadow trailing behind him in the late afternoon sun. And then it stopped. The shadow stopped. The man kept walking, but his shadow stopped in front of me, and I knew I had just cursed this man too. I had to go back home before I caused even more trouble. I had no idea what these things wanted, and I didn't know how to stop it. I noticed more and more shadows stopping to look at me. I turned to look. One of the ladies in front of the Radio Shack was staring at the window. She had figured it out. I don't know what she saw, but she collapsed. People rushed to help her, and a group formed around her quickly. I couldn't help but look. How could I not? Their shadows all stopped, turned in my direction. I had damned them. I had damned them all. More screams. The man who cut in front of me was now running for his life. I don't know what he saw. Oh God, watch out! Oh God, this was all my fault. I'm a disease. I am a disease. I looked at the man that just got hit, and his shadow stood up and ran away. I just lowered my head and kept walking. There were screams all around me, a symphony of horror. A gunshot in the distance. Oh God, what have I done?
Oh, sorry, I didn't see you.
Oh no, I didn't even look up, but her shadow saw me and froze. She's doomed. I decided to look up instead. I made it home and walked to my living room. They were there in the reflection of my television, just like they were the first time I saw them. What do you want? I turned around and they were gone. Then I had an idea. If I can't see, they're not there. If I can't see them, they won't be there. No eyes, no see. No eyes, no see. I bite down on a marker I have on my counter. Here we go.
So you're saying it's passing, like being passed along like a cold or a flu, but through sight.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying, Max.
And do you have any theories on what they are?
A few. Maybe we weren't supposed to see him. Maybe that tape was a warning, not a curse. But no idea what kind of warning. The massacre? That was them taking their revenge, or trying to be free. I don't know. Free from what? People? Why? Or more importantly, how? I don't know. What if I wasn't the cause? What if I was just the first one to notice? Maybe the reflections were waking up on their own. Maybe I was just the messenger. I thought I stopped it, but what if I didn't? What if they're still out there, just waiting for the right moment? What if it's already started again and no one sees it yet? We all might be doomed and not even know. All I know is that I stopped the madness that day. I stopped it. I saved countless lives. And nobody believes me. They stuck me in a mental hospital for almost 2 years because of what I did. They won't believe the truth, though. Nobody ever does.
So you said you originally saw two reflections. If one took over your reflection, what happened to the second one.
Yeah, I have no idea. We're just gonna have to see how it all plays out, right? People might be sorry they didn't listen to me. I gotta go. I gotta go.
And that was that, unfortunately. He ended the call and there was nothing I could do about it. We tried calling back, but it just rang and rang and rang. So we took the hint. But I did some more research, and the massacre definitely happened. And there's even a report from 2 kids who claimed to witness the whole thing after running from a store. And their story kind of lines up with Dave's, but that leaves the question, why weren't they affected? And as for the VHS cassette, well, cursed objects are nothing new. If anyone out there has any information on this, though, please give me a call. I am sure we would all love to hear about it. 805-272-0089. But was this a cursed object? I don't know. I'm tending to believe Dave's story just from the sheer fact that, he, blinded himself to stop it. That lends a little credibility in my book. But here's the rub. Stories like his, they've been around for centuries. Maybe not with a VHS tape, obviously, but the idea of something living in reflections or in shadows or in places we're not supposed to look, that is ancient. There are legends, old ones, about beings that exist just on the other side of what we can see. Like, take the Alp from German folklore. It's a nightmarish spirit that could slip through cracks and lurk in the darkness and press down on your chest while you slept. It wasn't a ghost. It was just something between worlds, just like whatever Dave saw in the glass. Then you've got the doppelganger, the double that shouldn't exist, the copy that walks in your skin but isn't you. Seeing your own reflection move just a little too late, that is straight out of that legend. But let's go back even further with the Akkadian myth about the Utuku, the malevolent spirits that could attach themselves to shadows, using them as a doorway to our world. They didn't just exist in the dark. They were the dark. The Greeks had Nyx's children, primordial spirits of night and death slipping through shadows unseen. And in Japan, the Kajana, or shadow woman, would appear only in reflection, standing behind you in the glass, never really there when you turned around, which all sounds pretty familiar. And then there's the thing that keeps coming up over and over again in myths and horror stories, and now, apparently, in Dave's life. The idea that noticing them is what makes them real. That just looking gives them power. We see it in Slavic mythology with the Vukodlak, a shadowy presence that couldn't fully take shape until someone acknowledged it. It's a pattern and a rule that these things seem to follow for whatever reason. Once you see them, they see you. And once they see you, they don't stop. So what if Dave's story isn't just some cursed tape, but something that goes a little deeper? What if there's something out there that's always been there, lurking in the edges of reflections, waiting for someone like Dave to give them just enough attention to step through? Something that doesn't just haunt you, it spreads like a virus, like a disease of the eyes. The worst part is that we know Dave's fate. He tried to take control the only way he could by taking his ability to see him. But what about everyone else? Everyone at that mall, are they all dead? It seems likely since no one else has really come forward, which leaves us with the question, did Dave really save the world? Because I think it's possible. He certainly made a rash decision that leads me to believe this is more than a simple, mental break. So, kudos to you, Dave. Hope you're doing all right out there. All right, let's get back to the phones. Let's see who we got. Let's do Rachel from Fresno. Rachel from the north side of the 99. You're on the air with Max Thorn.
Hi, Max. Thanks for taking my call.
For sure. What do you got for us?
I can't believe you're talking about cursed objects. I thought I was going crazy.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, so about 2 months ago, my grandpa died suddenly. He'd gotten up in the middle of the night to turn the heater down and just collapsed. My grandma said she knew it right away as soon as she heard the thump of him hitting the floor.
Oh, man, I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, me too. I mean, it's okay. He had actually had a close call a few years back, so I was happy to get this extra time with him. Anyway, me and Grandma were going through the closet trying to see what we could keep, what we were going to donate. Anyway, buried deep in the closet, I found this old wristwatch. My grandma said it was Grandpa's A11 watch, which were issued to soldiers during World War II. She said that this was the watch that won the war, but I'm not really sure what she meant by that. I know my grandpa fought in the war, and by all accounts was forced to kill a lot of people, but he never ever talked about it until after the big scare a few years back. That's when my dad told me Grandpa started opening up about all the guilt he had over things he had to do in the war. But he never mentioned anything to me about it, which made me think it wasn't a big deal. Naive, I know. I'm still basically just a kid. Anyway, the watch. The only watch I ever remember my grandpa wearing was a cheap Timex that I believe we buried him in. Anyway, Grandma insists I take this thing, saying Grandpa would wanted me to have it. So I do. I take it home and I put it on my dresser for a few days, and I don't really think anything of it. Then one day I pick it up and see if I can replace the battery in it or whatever. I don't really know how they work, Turns out all you have to do is wind it. So I wind it, nothing happens. So I figure it's broken. Sorry, this is taking so long.
No, you're fine. Go on.
Okay, thanks. So the watch doesn't work. I put it back and forget about it until that night I get into bed, and all of a sudden I start hearing ticking. So I get up and sure enough, it's working. So great, right? I go back to bed and the ticking is like this lullaby to me. It's all I can focus on and it literally lulls me to bed. But here's where it gets weird. That night I have a dream about the war. Like in the war. Only I'm not me, I'm my grandpa. And I'm like at the back of this airplane shooting at other planes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I wake up, I'm super freaked out. I'm laying in bed for like an hour or so and I realize that the watch has stopped ticking. I don't touch anything, I just try to go back to sleep, and as far as I remember, normal dreams from then on. The next morning, I asked Dad what Grandpa did in the war, and he tells me Grandpa was a tail gunner. He literally sat in the back of airplanes and shut other airplanes down and worked as air cover for other soldiers. I swear on my life, Max, I did not know this. So how did I dream it? But it gets even weirder. If I don't touch the watch, my sleep is normal. If I wind it before bed, the ticking puts me to sleep and I'm back as Grandpa.
Holy cow.
So you believe me?
I do.
I don't know what to do. Part of me is terrified to ever touch the damn thing again, but the other part of me can't help but think that Grandpa's trying to tell me something. I don't know, maybe something happened during the war that he needs me to know about or figure out. I just can't shake it.
I've heard of souls connecting themselves to certain objects right before they die. It could be anything nearby. And you said your grandpa collapsed in the hallway, which begs the question, where did you find the watch?
In a cabinet in the hallway.
Yeah. Would you be willing to speak to me more about this? I would love to see the watch and investigate further if there's anything to investigate.
I would love that.
Okay, awesome. I'm going to transfer you to my producer, Ricky, and he will be getting all your information. So I will be in touch.
Wow, thank you.
No, thank you, Rachel. Thanks for calling. Wow. Okay, we need to take a break. Let's pay some bills. I know, I'm sorry. And we'll be right back with more of The Witching Hour.
Sometimes you need a little finesse. Sometimes you need a lot. Sometimes you need a little finesse. Crave, that wonderful crunchy food made with the fresh meat cats prefer to eat, is changing its name to Whiskas. More and more cat owners tell us their cats prefer Whiskas.
We now return to The Witching Hour with Max Thorn.
We're back. I'm sorry to report that we have lost half of our fans outside. We're down to 2 now. Keep trying, guys. I've never known holding a sign on an empty street corner in the middle of the night to never not work. You're doing great. I believe in you. Anyway, back to the phone lines. All right, let's see. Let's see who we've got. Let's go to Chessa from Portland, Maine. Chessa, what's up? You're on the air with Max Thorn and The Witching Hour.
Hey.
Hello.
Thanks for having me on.
Happy to have you.
So this story has been eating at me all summer. I live in Portland, Maine, and all along the coast here are old lighthouses. Some of them operational, some of them not. Anyway, a few years ago, I'd gotten really into going to estate sales, and I'd always check the newspaper, see what was happening that week, and drive around, check them out, you know?
My mom enjoys those too.
Cool.
Yeah, maybe. No, I'm just kidding.
Maybe it's a little bit morbid to go through dead people's things, but I think it's fascinating. So I was going through some old books at this one sale, and a journal really stood out to me. It looked so old that I just had to have it. I opened it up and saw that it belonged to a Captain Elias Blackwell. That was enough for me. I paid the $2 and went straight home.
A captain, eh? Like Army or Navy?
Like a sea captain who manned a lighthouse.
Oh, that's even better. So, what was in it? I'm guessing it wasn't just some mundane lighthouse duties if you're, calling into the show here.
At first it was. It was just routine. Checking the light, the weather, the tides, but then it started to get weird. As I kept reading, Captain Blackwell began writing about lights out in the distance, but these weren't the usual ship lights. He called them steady and too close. He even mentioned figures standing on the cliff near the lighthouse, shadowy, unmoving, like they were watching him.
That's pretty gnarly. Did he ever explain what was going on?
Well, that's the thing. As the journal progressed, his writing got more and more frantic. He started talking about hearing whispers on the wind.
All right.
At first, he thought he was imagining things, but the whispers seemed to be repeating one word over and over. Return. He got paranoid. He literally spent 6 pages writing the word return over and over after that. He started writing that the lighthouse wasn't just a lighthouse. It was something else. His words. He kept saying, the light has seen too much.
That sounds like the kind of thing you'd expect from someone, slowly descending into madness.
Yes, exactly. The last few pages of the journal, that's where things really got weird. His handwriting was shaking, almost illegible. The last entry said, do not come here. The light has seen too much and the sea is desperate. You will not leave. And then there was nothing.
That's it?
The last page was torn out and there were no more entries, just the warning and the fray of its missing page. I couldn't stop thinking about it. Something about that journal felt like it was trying to tell me something important.
That's pretty heavy. So, what did you do after reading the journal?
Well, I couldn't shake it off. There were clues to where that lighthouse was in the journal, so the next day, I followed him. Took me 5 hours, but I found it. It was exactly like the journal described, even down to the painted rock as a makeshift memorial for a shipwreck on Christmas Eve many decades ago. It was abandoned and falling apart, completely isolated and cold. Colder than the weather, somehow, but then I found something I wasn't expecting.
Well, what did you find?
I was exploring the keeper's quarters when I found a loose floorboard. I practically tripped over it. I pried it up, and I found a small compartment beneath. Inside, there was a strange, artifact, I guess, and the missing page of the journal. It was written like a letter you'd write to a friend, made out to Cetus. Cetus.
Ah, Cetus, the sea god from Greek mythology. All right, keep going, sorry.
It was written in Captain Blackwell's hand, and it was so, terrifying. I almost couldn't believe it.
Oh, okay. What did the letter say? Do you have it?
Yeah, I have it. You really want me to read it?
Chessa, girl, I would be thrown off the air if I didn't have you read this letter. The fans would storm my office and want my head if you did not read this letter on the air right now.
Okay, hold on. To the dread lord of the abyss, the ever-hungering one, he who dwells beneath Cetus. The tide turns again, as it always must, and a right to thee, with hands salt-worn and heavy with the weight of responsibility. The beacon stands yet, burning against the black maw of the sea, but I fear it is not enough. The winds whisper thy name, the waves crash with thy hunger, and the depths stir with the restless want and the desperation for you to return. I have kept the bargain as those before me have kept it. Blood has been spilled upon the rocks, given freely to quench thy fury. 10 souls lost to the sea, taken by my hand, and by the light that calls them. Drifters, sailors, those whom the world forgot, I led them as I was bid, to sate thy hunger. And yet I hear the groaning of the deep, and I fear this is no longer enough. What more would ye ask of me? I am but a keeper bound to this place, to this duty. The lantern above wails in the wind, its glowing a frail thing against the vast and endless reach. I have fed thee, but still ye call. Will no offering sate thy thirst? No sacrifice still thy wrath? I fear I know the answer. The sea is restless, and the light grows dim. It is not a keeper ye seek, because thy promise yearns to be undone. If it is to be me, then take me swift. Let the tide rise and the black waves claim me. Let my waist sink into the abyss, my name forgotten, as all names before me have been. But if there be another one, yet unseen, drawn by the whisper of the tide, then may they read these words and know. The lighthouse is not a beacon, it is a warning. And the sea never forgets a debt unpaid. I pray someone comes who can fight harder than I. Captain Elias Blackwell, Keeper of the Light.
Holy cow. That is absolutely incredible.
Yeah, so what? Captain Blackwell had made a pact with Cetus, and the lighthouse itself was the prison, keeping it from rising?
Yeah, I've heard about that before. We've actually talked about that in recent weeks here on the show, when something seemingly random on Earth protects us from, who knows what. So Captain Blackwell really believed he was keeping Cetus at bay. So for the listeners that don't know, Cetus is the name the Greeks used for the horrors lurking beneath the waves. Quote unquote. He's not just a sea monster. He is like the sea monster, a leviathan sent by the gods to punish humans, big enough to swallow ships whole and destroy entire coastal towns. Sometimes it's a serpent, sometimes it's a scaly octopus type creature, but it is always, always bad news.
So, Blackwell truly believed this if he was willing to kill. Local fishermen and travelers who mysteriously disappeared over the years, they were the sacrifices. Like, it's right there in black and white. The worst part is that I think Captain Blackwell didn't want to do this. He felt obligated. And what if none of this is real and Blackwell was just crazy? He killed innocent people and, I don't know, chucked them into the sea for nothing?
That's unbelievable. But if Blackwell was part of the pact, why would Cetus be so desperate to want to break it?
That's the thing. The last few pages of the journal entry hinted that something went wrong. As the years went by, Captain Blackwell became more and more desperate. He started writing about how the lighthouse demanded more from him. He even mentioned that the sea grew restless, like it wanted more than just a simple sacrifice.
So Captain Blackwell was the last sacrifice, offered to Cetus by his own free will, or did the lighthouse make the decision for him?
Either. The artifact I found, it was this strange stone, like a carved seashell with symbols on it. When I touched it, I felt like I was being pulled toward the sea, almost like a magnet. It was the strangest sensation I'd ever felt in my life. And I could hear the whispers again, clearer this time, saying, "Return." It was like the lighthouse was calling for its next keeper, and it wanted me. Maybe it was the wind through the open windows or just random sea noises, but I swear I heard it.
That's honestly pretty terrifying. So, after everything you discovered, what do you think the lighthouse is really doing?
I think it's alive. Like, the lighthouse itself is part of this ancient dark force. It's been keeping the entity trapped for centuries, and I don't think it can do it alone. But with Blackwell gone now, it's growing restless. What happens if it can't find a new helper to bring sacrifices? What's the time span between sacrifices? I mean, the journal hinted that Blackwell did it maybe 10 times over the course of his stay there. So when is the next one due? And more importantly, who's going to get it? Like, it's horrifying to think about. I know it's probably just the delusions of a lonely old man, and maybe none of this even happened, but even if there's a 1% chance it's true, I don't know.
Wow, that's a chilling thought. So, I have to ask the question probably everyone is screaming at their radios right now. After all of that, do you really feel like the lighthouse was calling you back? Like, do you think you might be next?
I don't know, but I've never felt so scared in my life. I dropped that artifact thing and left that lighthouse as fast as I could, but even now, I can't shake the feeling that it's still watching and waiting. I don't think I'll ever go back, and I don't think anyone should. There's something there, something evil, and it might not let you leave once it knows you're in its sights.
Whew. Chessa, thank you so much for sharing that. It sounds like the lighthouse is a place that has some secrets that it doesn't want to give up. And it begs the question, how did the journal end up at a random estate sale? I need to do some digging on this because I am very intrigued. And I've never been to Maine before, so why not? Chessa, would you mind if I transferred you over to my producer and have him get some information from you? I would love to check this out.
Absolutely. Thank you for letting me share my story. Hey guys, if anyone's ever near a lighthouse with a painted rock about a Christmas Eve shipwreck, turn away. Do not go in there.
All right, guys, if you have not read up on Greek mythology, I highly recommend it. It was one of the very few things I was into in high school, besides rock and roll music. The ocean is almost as fascinating to me as space. If Cetus is real, he has to live way down there, which is possible. The Mariana Trench, which is what they say is the deepest part of the ocean, is over 36,000 feet deep. That's over 7 miles. That's Mount Everest turned upside down, and then some. That's deep and dark, and the pressure would crush an airplane like an empty can of New Coke. No human will ever make it down there, and if they try, they probably won't be coming back up. Pressure that high would completely liquefy a human body. So, if Cetus is real, I'm guessing he's down there with all the other weird creatures. And when I say weird, I mean weird. Stuff that like stretches and glows or is translucent with needle teeth. Creatures that look like they were designed by a sleep-deprived toddler jacked up on sugar cereal. Now, in regards to Cetus, maybe that is just the name that the captain called it. It could be anything because there's supposedly a true tale about a creature the size of a cruise ship that lives at the very, very bottom of the ocean. And scientists call it the sleeper. And according to them, every few years, sonar picks up a slow, like rhythmic thump, almost like a heartbeat, from way down in the depths. Some professional divers have said they've heard like singing, like low and mournful, almost human-like, but yeah, you can take that with a grain of salt. Others say the ocean's just messing with you, which, all right, I could see that too. Personally, I think if something's been down there for thousands of years, minding its own business, maybe it's best if we let it be. Or maybe it's only minding its business because of a deal it made with the captain. Like, oh, I don't know. A deal that seems like it might be coming to an end soon. And if that's so, that's going to spell trouble. I guess we'll just have to wait and see. But in the meantime, the next time you and your family take a vacation to the beach and your little tootsies get splashed by the surf, remember that you are literally standing on the edge of another world. A dark, wet, weird, underground galaxy where the aliens are 100% real. All right, let's pay some bills. Stick around. We will be right back with more of The Witching Hour.
From Touchstone Pictures, when they framed him.
Freeze! They shot me!
He fought for his rights.
You know I'm innocent!
When they sent him to prison.
You better get with the program, punk.
He fought for his life.
I'm talking to you.
And now that he's out,
Yeah!
he's fighting for justice.
I'm not giving in to this, guys. How often does a con get a chance to get some justice, huh?
Tom Selleck, An Innocent Man, rated R. Starts Friday, October 6th at a theater near you.